Ascension Pioneers, beautiful family of light. So welcome, I am here with you again. As you can see, I cannot stay away from the camera, so I have a question for you. First of all, if you think about something that you never get tired of doing, which is always a constant bringer of joy, like a harbinger of everything that is blissful and brings you constant alignment with abundance, well, that is your true original path. That is your most natural, authentic self, aside from the other things that you probably are doing and are enjoying and are expanding into, but you always return to something. So I'm going to talk a little about here again the deepening of the topic of return to love, but also working with masters and working with the realms of illumination and how to really live all life as more sacred, as more in depth, more deepened. So this question can really be seen in how we are and how we just live our lives. And for me, when I think about all the things that I'm doing and enjoying and creating, I always come back to doing videos. And I remember one time this lady said to me, yeah, eventually we'll just move away from doing videos, at all. And I thought, well, that's not for someone else to say about me, and sometimes I have this thought, okay, I'm gonna do something else, and it's just like, the thing is that when something really calls you, when you have that uplifted heart and what you want to share and give and expand into, it will always come back in a way. And sometimes I get this beautiful report, your feedback from those of you who have been following my videos, not just for a while, but some of you have been following what I'm doing for years. And there was this beautiful influx of these reports recently as I've been on, the journey of more introverted self, new discovery, and preparing for the new steps ahead. I've been seeing that a lot of this has come through. So thank you for all those of you who have been sharing this with me. And let's begin with today's topic. So the first topic I want to expand a little more about is Venus and the cycles of Venus. So if you have more interested in this topic and why this is so important, you can either check out the video that's called The Synodic Cycles of Venus. It's on YouTube if you Google it. I don't have time because I'm on my holiday to send you the links, so do that research on your own. But the thing is that, I share more about this on my Cosmic Convergence workshop, so if you're guided, take a look into that, because I explain these interplanetary relations more and certain cosmic principles and why things are the way they are and how we actually always flow as one with these cycles. So the thing is that life in basic evolution evolved from Venus and came here to planet Earth when Venus was done with these cycles of incarnations at that level. So then this life was expanded, but in a different way and form as always, because it's a different planetary experience. It was transferred here on Earth, and it was a big, beautiful project that many beings of light were involved with. And sometimes you hear of those beings as masters or lords of Venus, or Sanat Kumaras, so the family of Kumaras, who have been overseeing our planetary evolution for a while, in alignment with other groups and other, interests here at hand. But the thing is that all these groups are always in cosmic service to unity, to universal brotherhood. And it's this brotherhood, that's this love in your heart that always keeps you returning to the basics. So a lot of the energy we're experiencing now with this, there's this turmoil at hand. And if you, maybe you follow some astrology or doing some online research, you see that the energies that are currently present and washing us over, so it's all collective, and including the fact that you are a part of this collective. So it does not have to be your soul lesson in per se as personally, but remember, we're all one. So when we come into this embodiment, we take upon certain tasks and roles, and we cannot escape our dharma, we cannot escape our path. And I'm going to talk about initiation in this video as well, so stay connected, because initiation is something that on a path of self-mastery we need to start having a deeper insight into, a deeper understanding. So I'll be including this as well today. But the thing is that a lot of times we don't wish for what's at hand for us, we want something else. And when we're in this cycle now, a lot of us might still feel this flushing of this, what's coming up is, I so want this instead, I want that, or I wish I could have things this way. or I wish I could live in an environment where things were easy. But Spirit always tells me, when you're the strongest of the strong, you're always going to be embodied as a volunteer soul in the densest environments. So for example, here the village is beautiful, the nature is pristine, it's amazing, but the village is very narrow in terms of, you know, awareness and all, not just physically how it is structured. But the thing is that, you know, a lot of us did come here to have an easy experience. We came here to have an uplifting experience, to uplift ourselves, to refine the human embodiment, the human experience, to bring back the joy that was missing for eons and eons of incarnations, which was actually having to do with this Venus and Earth interplanetary relation. So when these astrological cycles happen, it's almost like we have doorways. We're entering these doorways where we can either walk through or not. And presently, what's happening is that we almost have basically most of the planetary aspects are in retrograde motion. So this means that there's a very deep introspective time at this moment. It's not so much the outward movement time, it's gathering of all that has been accumulating within us. So Venus, why is it so important? Even if you look at your own personal astrological chart, Venus is, for me, one of the very important planets because it represents the way we live, our values, you know, the part of us that just feels that joy, pleasure, agape love, you know, sharing and relationship in a way. So with this, Venus is teaching us how to live more through joy. She's just not just teaching us just pleasure in that sense, you know, that sometimes we perceive as carnal pleasures, but pleasures through joy. And I just read this beautiful passage from this book. It's called The Ascended Master's Book of Ritual and Prayer. And it was, where I opened, it was of Lady Nada, and she spoke of joy. And it was perfect for what's happening this time. A lot of times we seek joy in things that are external. We want something else to happen for us. We want to be somewhere else. We want to try something else. And although this is good for expansion at certain cycles of our growth, we will really be asked to deepen what we have already gathered, and this is where we are now. That is why so many retrograde movements are the way they are. So with this in mind, I wish to remind you that Venus, not just that she is retrograding this July, she's starting the cycle, but she's also changing her entire cycle, which happens every year and a half, I think, and she moves into rising as a morning star in a different sign. So she's going to shift from doing that in Capricorn to doing that in Leo. And Capricorn is that, you know, that stamina, that perseverance, that wisdom you grow into through experience, through that, you know, sometimes that narrow path that lies before you. Because the path of self-mastery really is about narrowing things down to what is really important, to what is really essential, to what is key to our ascension journey, and to understanding it. And I do share more about the basic nature of our ascension in my class. It's called Self-Empowerment and the Ascension. And I describe the basic process because a lot of people think of ascension as just going up, but ascension is a threefolded process, and I explain this physically in the course. So if you're guided and you want to go deeper and you want to work more on refined spiritual higher spiritual levels of your evolution, then you're really invited to take these courses. But Venus is now shifting from all that wisdom that was gathered during that Capricorn phase, which is how we live our lives, is, you know, that perseverance, a lot of hard work, a lot of investment into what we do. Now into Leo, which is about leadership, but at the same time, as she's shifting, she also came into this conjunction with Jupiter, which, you know, was the beloveds coming together, kissing each other, union, you know, that expansion of what was gathered in the cycle. So what I believe is that everything that's been gathered during the cycle is Venus was, she has these three cycles, you know, the morning star, she starts to rise, then the underworld, she goes, you know, this is symbolic for many sacred goddesses' journeys, like Lilith and so on. And then she rises back again as the evening star. So now she's going to start this cycle with Leo. This means that this essence, this tone, this archetypal colorment will enrich our lives, will contribute to how we perceive reality and how we co-create our own reality within the collective. So Leo is that inner light shining, you know, and I've been saying this for so long that this energy we've been moving through since 2012, the major awakening point, has been really pushing us to expand, to awaken. A lot of people pursued so much information. There was so much knowledge being shared. Everybody started doing something they really loved. There's all these pursuits. And even when I go online, sometimes I feel overwhelmed with things because there's too much of everything. You know, we kind of lost track with this balance, and I believe that this Leo is going to bring us back to the inner shine, when you don't need so much external to shine your inner light. You don't need so many things to really be the leader. You don't need so many teaching tools and whatnot. You need to go back to the basics, to simplicity. And this is actually what I believe the return of that, the inner empowered goddess. You know, in that class which I recommended for you was called this solar goddess, and I believe this is that archetype. You know, the empowered feminine, the sacred divine feminine, which is not just soft and gentle, but also really firm in how she rules. And this is not just about the women, it's about men as well. So we all have that sacred queen, the queen archetype within us. And I've been working with this aspect, I'm embodying this aspect for a while now. So for me, it's really deep, this what's happening, because I will have also my personal Venus retrograde this year. If you want to know more about this, then, you know, browse it online, Google it, Venus return. It happens every 8 years as she cycles. And it's very important for you because what I believe, because Venus does represent those values, is that, you know, almost like they say our body changes every 7 years. So the 8th year, you know, everything's about seven initiations. Even on my mastery courses, there's 7 of them, 7 chakric systems in the body. You know, the lower chakric system, the embodiment chakras, then the 7 sacred rites of passage, which are these initiations. So, you know, in a way, this represents this 8th energy, the 8th octave. It's this, the gateway of the sacred heart attunement, the cosmic heart. And this is the path of ascension where no external advice ever suffices anymore. You know, you need to go back to your roots. And the roots are where Cancer is, which is where we are now, which is where our sun is now traveling through. And there's a lot of emotions coming up now. There's a lot of this restlessness. We will all feel it. It doesn't have to deal with how much aware or unaware you are, because when you're in a path of physical ascension, which means you came here to refine the human embodiment and be the prototype of a new human, so to say, literally and figuratively speaking, then you're going to go through this. I mean, we're all going through this in our own way. You know, there's masters who speak about God and presence and peace only like as a vertical thing, an experience. And there's those who are creator beings who also are bringing that knowing, that sacredness into the physical refinement and form. So with this cycle, there's going to be very much coming through, and I feel also that a lot of the younger ones are going to start to rush through. What I've been noticing lately is that younger generation is more susceptible to where the energy flow really is potent. So I've been sharing with you before that I'm not so much guided in my heart essence. I always listen to my heart space to post so much and write so much on Facebook, because Facebook has been feeling very stagnant. You know, Facebook is almost like how Spirit shows me and how I'm experiencing myself, a place where most people come and they read posts from others and they just stay there. And there's a few of those who are posting, you know, and sharing, but when I had my own experience with other things like Instagram, for example, you know, you need to post pictures, you need to do something because that's what it's created for. So everybody, in a way, is creating something of their own, and there's a lot of uniqueness and those individualized energy signatures that represents that co-creativity through many beautiful creator gods and goddesses on this planet. So I've been really fascinated and I'm loving Instagram. So while I'm on my this summer retreat, I'm not going to be posting on Facebook, but I will be, if I'm guided, do these video reports on YouTube and of course Instagram and my pages. But the thing is that, you know, we need to do what we feel in our heart. If we say, okay, I'm never going to do this anymore, or at this time I won't do this, the heart will know the way. You know, in each moment we will know where we need to be, what we need to do. I can say today, oh, I won't do this anymore for, I don't know, 3 months. And then it happens in a new way. What this means is usually when we're tuning into this change energy, we're feeling that, not that never, but in a different way. So sometimes our human language still says, I'm not going to do this ever again. Of course, in this way that you have been used to, and that's why you got these messages, you're expanding. Our form is changing so much. If you've been looking at yourself, even in the mirror lately, I'm probably sure you've noticed these changes. And most of my changes have been coming through voice. I haven't been sharing this with you because this is something that I'm still growing into. I have sometimes I'm doing these light grids or something spontaneous, and I just sit there and a spontaneous song comes through and it's beautiful and it's celestial and it makes me cry, and it's really deepening my feeling of that simplicity of truth in creation. So what I feel is, as it was also shared in that YouTube video about sonatic cycles of Venus, is that we're really moving into a time where we're not just doing and creating and gathering all this knowledge, but we need to transform this now, crystallize it into wisdom. We need to enjoy our creations more. We need to be with the self. A lot of us have been doing the self, but we haven't just been with the self. This doesn't mean you're passive and you no longer do things you love, but you're doing it a different way. There's also a deepening of joy that needs to happen. And I will create a second video which will be about working with the Ascended Masters, which is really important because I wish to share some notes on what sacredness really means and why this is important for us to deepen our higher spiritual path. So if you've been a student, we're all students in a way, of these higher principles and laws, you might find this video very much for you. But if not, then just stay updated to these regular Ascension updates. But this is really a wonderful book. I really recommend it to everybody because it shifts you right back into your true essence, into that which is core, which is almost like magnetic for you, very simplistic, very grounded into what is really important. So what I notice sometimes, I go somewhere, I take a beautiful hike, I go somewhere, and for a while it feels really beautiful and expansive. But if the energy is already served there at that level, and I'm just going to continue to be there, I'll feel void. It will feel very empty, very flat. And even though you may be looking at the most beautiful, pristine mountain or a river, but your energy's done its course there. Your service has, shifted and it needs to be somewhere else. Your light is everywhere. It's all encompassing. But physically, your physical presence, if it needs to be somewhere else and you're still going to keep with something, you will feel that emptiness inside. And that emptiness sometimes will make us feel like crushed. Like, oh, my dreams are crushed. Why does this no longer work? And this is where we are now. It's a huge shift. I feel because Venus is so importantly connected with Earth, they're almost like twins in a way. They even spin in opposite rotations, and you can find out more about that in that video. Or do your Google research, Google knows everything in a way. Then you connect the dots. So I feel this is really important. It's almost like Venus governs how we as a collective, through our values, live our lives. So if you feel like your life no longer has that feeling of happiness, of rejoicement, of profound depth, then there's definitely an ending coming to that. And sometimes these deaths can feel rather like an agony within you, and you don't know what to do next. But trust me that when you're going to be guided to do something new and take a new step, you will know. When we're in those shifting times, a lot of times we want to rush ahead because it feels so unpleasant. But we got to feel all that is unpleasant. We got to feel all that is shifting. We got to love all that is there, because we're also working with the energy of initiation. And again, there's a beautiful message here in this book from Lady Portia about initiation, and it says that we don't often like what is dark, but darkness is a part of our initiation as well. And it really is that which pushes us into extremes, and those extremes will expand us like a rubber band, and we're going to stretch right into where we fit in the new. But the new is something that it's not where you arrive, it's somewhere you're constantly arriving at. You're constantly refining yourself, because that's what self-mastery is. It's that freedom space where you really connect to your true self, and then you continue to express it and refine it and, just work with it. So I'm going to read you a passage from this book, and maybe you're going to be guided to get it yourself. And Lady Portia speaks about the ritual of initiation. I am Lady Portia, Lady Ascended Master of Completion and Initiation, joint custodian of the silver violet flame of transformation and spiritual alchemy, harbinger of peace and ending, bringer of dusk and completion of a hard day's work. And I'm reading this because this is where we are now, most of us. I am the guardian of all those things that wait. I am the watcher on the way who stands at the gateway to the new Aquarian age. The protectress who prevents all those who are not ready from passing through the gates of initiation, which will bring them new life and understanding. I am at times seen as a shadow, dark and fearsome, challenging and evil, but I represent and uphold that which must be transcended before it is known that a neophyte is ready to become a priest or priestess, before a boy is ready to become a king, before a seeker is ready to become a co-creator with the power of the divine, a champion of light. Without challenge, no form or reward can be truly relished and savored. Without resistance, no forward flow could be enjoyed. Without the control of the teacher's hand who presents the examination paper to see if the student has learned his lessons, well, there would be no sense of accomplishment. I represent the archetypal forces which govern and restrict evolution and forward movement. I am the initiator through all steps and walks of life, whether the initiation is ritualistic and spiritual, whether it is the triumph of a physical accomplishment, running to the top of a mountain, Whether it is an emotional triumph, imposing someone who has always stolen away your power, finding your own strength, going to your own way, whether it is a mental success, overcoming a problem that has always stumped you and caused you concern. I represent those things which can be transcended and the ways through which transcendence can be gained. In the lifetimes which I have led, I have often played the part of the darkness, of the temptress or the enchantress. The power which I operate with and through has been known in many cultures. In India as Maya, the power of illusion. In the Native American cultures as coyote medicine, the trickster or the sacred clown, the heyoka. In Tibet as the demon of all that is not real. In Christianity as the devil. But all these forces and forms of darkness and shadow, of illusion and confusion, are simply temptation, challenge, resistance, and a test. They are teachers which gauge the competence of your heart and mind to see whether you are ready to progress and evolve and reap the benefits of the grass so green which lies on the other side of the bridge. And this is why we cannot move through the gateway with someone else playing us fourth. They're saying, hello, come, you know, and we're cheering each other on, and the masters and all who've been going through this before and prior times, which is all coexisting within the now moment, are really cheering this play and really pushing it in a way that's not with resistance. It's not even pushing. So we're either participating or we're saying, oh, you know, this is too yucky for me. And this is what we often do when it feels unpleasant. We go into that hiding cave and we don't like it. But those of us who just allow ourselves to be vulnerable and open, we transform fast. And recently I've been noticing how much I've been, you know, receiving this awareness about just how I work. And when I know how I operate my own being, then it's always in flow. If you don't know yourself is in your individuality of soul within source of all, then you cannot go through these cycles as well as when you do know the self. And for me, I've been always very connected with the forces of lightning, because as the ray of purity and this embodiment of the sacred goddess, of the living essence of the Holy Spirit, you know, you constantly need to refine your form. You constantly need to, you know, shed away in you and you and you. And this is where lightning and the sacred violet flame comes through. And this is why I always love the teachings of Saint Germain. And for example, this is somewhere where I can tell you that no ray, you know, we say you're just one ray, can ever exist just on its own. The rays are co-creational, they're codependent in a way, not codependent as we think of this word, but they're an interrelation that's always in unity, so they're synchronized, they assist each other, they're one. You know, purity comes also through those constant cycles of transformation, and you know, this is all beginning with initiation, which is talked about here. So let me continue. I am the troll who tests the billy goat's gruff. I am the giant who guards the magic harp. I am the wicked witch who prevents Dorothy from finding her way home. I am the second path which lies before you, which tempts you to journey deep into the forest where the wolf lies. I am not evil, but I am at times dark. These are two different things. My role, my purpose, and my function is only to see if you are ready. For if you are not, and you are allowed to pass through the gateway into the other realms of your own evolution, you would be destroyed, consumed by power which you are not yet capable or ready to handle or work with. I am the divine fuse, a safety valve which prevents you from entering into those realms which you are not prepared for. I am the lock, and if you are ready, then you are the key. Initiation happens many times throughout our lives and in many different ways. Some initiations take place daily and slip past consciousness unnoticed due to the business of society, its pace and speed. Any form of triumph and success enabling you to do something which you were previously unable to do is a form of initiation. Any trauma or horror which you have passed through, however you pass through it, is a form of initiation. Any journey or adventure, any exploration into the unknown is an aspect of initiation. Well, then again, all is. Beginning a new job, starting your first day of school, sitting at an examination, driving the car in busy traffic, baking a cake which you have never baked before, teaching, guiding, guarding, becoming a parent, grieving someone whom you have lost, being given power, and learning how to use it. Building a shelf, learning to operate a computer, learning to use the hidden skills which exist inside your heart and mind, painting a picture, writing poetry, composing music. Watching as one season becomes another, celebrating Christmas or Easter, having a birthday or an anniversary, remembering someone who has died. These are all possible opportunities for initiation, points of transformation, which once you have journeyed through, will take you to an inner space which you have never been to before and which will make you into something different. something new. Even if you fail the test, you have still experienced the elements of and possible opportunities for initiation, but have simply not gained the rewards, the benefits which lie beyond it. Nevertheless, the experience is no less valid. Everything is teaching, and even pain, often even so, more than joy. So, the darkness is not truly bad or evil, but simply another way of experiencing life, another way of growing, another way of evolving, another way of gaining power and journeying closer to God. So, it's really important to know that where we are now is really returning back to those roots of simplicity, of living as a magical child. Sometimes in these times, not just humans who have forgotten who they are, but even volunteer souls sometimes forget. Because you come into this world of the collective, you plug into that energy field, and sometimes you forget, and you act as though you are not divine, and you forget that things have a bigger purpose, and then there's a reason for everything. And just recently I've seen video from Moji where he shares the story of the king and his assistant, and how everything that's happened was meant to happen the way that it did. It's such a beautiful and funny story. And you know, whenever you have a moment when you think, this shouldn't have happened, you know, you should remember this story, because you're gonna remember it. It's not true. You're just not seeing the bigger picture yet. It's not revealed, and because we're not mature into that higher wisdom and higher perspective which oversees everything, we don't always see. So we make these quick conclusions and assumptions with the mind, and the mind is an aspect of the human that's not really yet fully evolved. And it's not bad, it's just not yet evolved. So that's why this evolution is now taking place, so we can become caretakers of our mind rather than our mind actually influencing us. So all this old spirituality that addressed ego as bad and something you need to diminish and kill and, you know, totally neglect, it really doesn't help, because all parts of you are parts of God, parts of the divine. And when we say, you know, I'm cherishing nature because it's all God, but then we forget how we're a part of it and we treat ourselves poorly, or vice versa. Some people treat themselves well, but they treat nature as poorly. So the thing is that there needs to be this fusion of recognizing the spark of the I amness in everything. Everything is source, everything is life force, everything is fully alive, everything is consciousness, there's no separation. And not just knowing it mentally, but really living it. And this is where I believe we are now. And with this Leo phase, I feel Leo is that, you know, in tarot, Leo is, pardon me, sometimes represented with the number 19, the sun archetype, which is that solar light shining, that inner magical child that just wants to shine and spread the light and really live a life like the world is your oyster. You know, it all begins with the Fool, but I believe this rite of passage, when you really start to enjoy these creations which come about, it happens through the sun archetype. So returning back to your solar logos and your simplicity and your natural state of being, which oftentimes we forget. So even those who know, and which really know when we fully embody, and this is where all of our initiations lie. It's, you know, every master, in the end, you need to constantly ask yourself, okay, I know this, but am I embodying it? And how do I embody it? Because sometimes we know things, but still find it challenging to move through the energy of really integrating it, and that it actually becomes a living presence each day of our life. You know how many times we say, I know this, but I know I'm still not doing it. So, okay, tomorrow I try again. This time I'm really gonna do it. I know I'm gonna master it one day. And we continue to postpone this as if it's not already a natural state of our being. And sometimes what we really need is letting go and honoring the sacred, honoring the small things in life, honoring just when you wake up, just the energy of it. How does it feel? You know, having your morning breakfast, how does it feel? Sometimes we're over-consuming ourselves with all the information, all we think we need to know, gathering stuff, accumulating material possessions, thinking that's going to bring us more value. You know, it's nice when you have material things which you create with, because we are creators with our hands as well. But in order for them to be our source of joy, it's never going to happen, because they're not. And you know, happiness is always going to change, because you're only happy at the level where you currently embody. Then you shift in your awareness, you're going to move into another new embodiment level. At certain times you're not going to feel totally happy, because your inner and outer won't fully match yet, because you're bringing that into your form. And so inner bliss, joy, happiness, it's not the same. So bliss, that blissful state of joy, is constant, because the moment you find presence, you know, that all is divine, you find it in everything. Everything is magical. When you live like this, like observing children, like Lady Nada speaks about here in this book, then you got it. Then life really is that simple. It's the mind sometimes that wants to complicate it, because It always thinks it needs to be somewhere else in order to experience something new. But all the experiences you have are nothing if you don't know how to accumulate them in a way that you will crystallize them into wisdom. So this is where we're now, towards every ending of the cycle. I mean, look at the nature, with the, even if you just look at the seasons of the year, you know, how in spring there's this fire energy, you know, everything begins with Aries, which is all about fire. We all want to create new things, we have new plans, it's like, you know, we want to plant new seeds, you know. Then comes a little bit of stabilization. Then comes the summer, which is more water element. So spring is this, you know, this fire energy. Then we have the water element. Then we have, oops, we have, let's say, the autumn, which is now okay. Summer, we're going to take some time to just let it go, let the seeds ripen on their own. Then we come into autumn, harvesting, you know, we see what is good, what is no longer fitting. And then in winter time, we just really, everything goes to sleep for a while, so that really we will know how we were upgraded, what to do next. And you can think about this, our mind, giving it a little rest. This is just how I was reflecting about it. So this is it for now. And think about all the moments where you still feel like you're rushing, you feel incomplete, you feel separate from your source. And if you want to know more about this and master your own inner polarity and that first cause of separation from source and your twin soul nature, then my last mastery course, the 7 Initiation on Mastering Polarity and Twin Soul, is perfect for you. But I really advise you to take all the courses steps by steps if you're so guided. So enjoy yourself so much, and tune into the other video that's coming up on how to work with the Ascended Masters and making everything more sacred. Take care. So much love, wisdom, and power as always. Bye-bye.